So, Mom, I was really thrilled that you arrived for lunch today to visit us here, because this past week at Oikos, we've been getting kind of similar questions from parents that are phoning along the same type of vein. So I thought, seeing as you've popped in to visit us today, I'm going to grab you and put you in the hot seat over there and see if you can help us by answering the question. Some of these questions I've been hearing. I'd like, when the person asks me the question, which I'll be asking you in a moment, I think, this is the thought goes through my head, I wonder what my mother would have to say about that. But I actually don't really have to wonder too much, because I feel I know exactly what you would say. But people out there don't know what you would say. So I'll answer the question best I can, but I don't do as good a job as I think you would do in answering the question. So now I'm going to ask you the question as though it was being directed directly at you, okay?
Okay.
And the one question was, the mom phoned, and she said that she really, really wants to home educate. She's really keen to, but she doesn't think she can and that she should, because she doesn't feel she's a very good parent herself. So she feels that if she was to home educate, it would be bad for her children. She's nervous about that. What would you say to that, Mom?
I would say to that mum that she will definitely become a better parent, a much better parent, when she's got her children at home and she's more in touch with them and more in touch with herself, and they get going on a program where they can have fun together and learn new things together. She's going to be more tuned in to what her children, their learning style and their playing style, and there's no doubt that she won't become a better mother. And obviously if she prays about it with the children, it'll be wonderful. It'll be a wonderful story.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've heard enough stories to know that that is a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then another mom phoned to say that she is also very scared. There seems to be a lot of fear in people. She's scared because, you know why? She wants to home educate her 3 children, but the teacher at the school has told her this very sentence. She said, you will ruin your children if you home educate them.
No.
Well,
the teacher's quite wrong. Sorry to say it, but that teacher is way off the beam. She should never, ever say that to a parent. God's given her those children, and does she want to ruin them? She doesn't want to ruin those children.
Of course not.
What mother is there on this earth that doesn't want the very best for their children? And so she will do her absolute best. She'll get to know her children much better, and the children will come out the other side much better people. Well, because the mother has been, her heart is there, her heart's right in it. How can you ruin something when your heart is in it?
In this instance, you basically answered that mom the way I answered her, very close. And that I said the same to her. I said the fact that she's caring about wanting to home educate her children and I asked her what was that motivated in. And you know what she said? She said, well, I want the best for my children, which is exactly what you've just said.
Yes.
And then I encouraged her to follow her heart and to continue on that journey of wanting the best, and how can that possibly result in ruining them?
Yeah.
So I basically said what you said. You just said it a whole lot better.
So, no, I don't think so, but it's a fact that only a mother and father can really have it in their heart to want the best for their children. There isn't anyone else that wants it.
As badly as well, and do as good a job.
Yeah.
But we must also realise that there's a lot of parents out there that are very insecure with their own parenting. They haven't had positive messages. And they themselves, I have the privilege of having parents, such as you and Dad, that have just celebrated your 60th wedding anniversary. Now, you need to realise, well, obviously you do realise this, I don't need to tell you need to realise, but the people we're talking to are people that don't have a family background like what we've had. So what is easy for me is unknown to them. So what I encourage them with in that is I say to them, well, why don't you change it then? Why don't you become the parent that you feel you wanted your parents to be?
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to consider the best for your children and your heart towards them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a wonderful journey to take, and there's absolutely no reason why a mother can't travel that journey with her children in the most amazing way.
Even if she didn't have the history, the background. Like I had the background, you were an invested parent, and you took care. You know, your whole life was the raising of your family.
Yeah.
That was like your career. You used to say, "I'm doing 4 degrees," and their names are Gregory, Stephen, Andrew, and Sonia. And those were your degrees, your children. That's what your study was. You studied your children. But what about those moms that haven't had that kind of parent? What is their reference? What I'm doing here today is I'm talking to you to share you with them so that they've got other input, because they say to me they don't have that input, they don't have that reference. So what is your, how do we help them more effectively?
Well, I would say that they can, first of all, it's a journey they're taking, and they themselves can make it exciting for themselves by filling in all the gaps that they felt they had from their own childhood, and building a future for their children that's got all those values. Because teachers in schools are educating the children academically. They're not loving the children, and they're not filling the gaps in those children's lives like a mother can do that. So she's building their characters. She's not just educating them academically. And in a school, the teacher can't do that because there are too many children.
And it's not your own child. As much as a teacher can be passionate about teaching and really care for those children. You know, I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and she said she couldn't sleep at night sometimes. She's a teacher, thinking about the problems she was encountering in the children. And she said it really, really bothered her. And you know that in each instance, it was because the child was from a broken home. So this poor teacher her heart was going out to those children, because she was trying to fill that gap you're talking about, because that child's own parents, own family wasn't whole.
Yeah.
So now Oikos is here trying to help encourage parents to be that very thing, to be the parent and to love the child, and not have somebody else trying to fill the gap, which doesn't work as effectively as if they filled that gap.
It doesn't work at all. It can't work. Only a parent can do that for their child. And only a parent can love their children through the difficulties. They'll have difficulties. Everybody does. But only a parent can love their child through it, can pray through it for God to help them overcome the obstacle. And once they've overcome it, the parent and the child will both be more confident.
But now, what about the reality of the children who don't have parents? When you're saying only a parent, what about people that might watch this, that there really isn't a parent? It's either a broken home, so one parent's absent, or it's an orphan and they don't have a parent. Now, how I've responded to that is I've said, but somebody has stepped in as the parent for that child. So there's like a replacement parent, if you can call it that. And now that parent is invested in loving that child as though it was their own. So it's still a parent, same thing.
Yes, right. Absolutely. They're giving of themselves to that child. And they must be confident, absolutely confident, that they're the only person in the world that could really do the job absolutely wonderfully well.
Because they've surrendered themselves to do that.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, to go back to something I said just now about your 60th wedding anniversary, it's a little bit off topic, but if I had to ask you, what is the glue, like right at the top there, what would you say would be the glue that's held your marriage and your family together?
Our 4 children, of course.
And okay, that's nice.
Our 4 children, our trust in God that He would help us through for everything we ever prayed for that we needed to bring those 4 children up, and obviously doing it together. Not we were always on the same page.
Unity then.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other question that you're thinking of now, of like that I could ask you? Because we'll just edit this. That would be good to say to the parents about this fear thing. I'm dealing with this fear thing. I'm not good enough. You've answered it in all these other ways, and that what was it? I'm not good enough. I'm going to ruin my children. The teacher says. You basically answered all of that, hey?
Yes, but I would say, who's told you you're not good enough? Who's told you you'll ruin your children? If you're telling yourself that, you must stop immediately. Because God gave you those children. He knows you're good enough. And you've got to stop listening to outside people that say things that are not relevant to the situation. They don't know the inside story. They're not qualified to be making comments like that at all.
But now one mom said to me that she's got a quick temper, okay, and she says she feels like her children have a break from her when they're at school because she doesn't have patience with them, and at least the teacher's got more patience than she has. That's what she said.
She doesn't know that the teacher's got more patience than her. And also, if that's what she thinks she's lacking, then that's what she must pray for. She must earnestly pray to have more patience. She must ask the children to join her in that prayer. Please give my mum more patience. And God will give it to her. She's doing what God ordained for her. And He's going to equip her to do it well.
She has to call on Him.
She's got to call on Him. And I will make a promise to her that He will equip her. It's only God that can equip you to do the kind of work that He's ordained for you. So she must have no doubts at all.
Okay, and then the other mom, that was another sad story, is that she said her husband wants X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be, from her with regard to educating the children at home. So he's saying, okay, we'll teach the children at home as long as you do the following. Whatever, in each person's situation it's different, what the husband's requirements are. Now, the mother is sitting with the problem, with the concern, the fear, that she's not going to be able to meet those requirements because she doesn't feel equipped and adequate and all the rest. So you say the same thing, I presume. That
she's probably thinking academically.
She is, mostly.
And as she goes through whatever she's teaching her children academically, she's going to be relearning it herself. She's going to be re-educating herself with her children, which in itself can be great fun. They're all going to be re-educating themselves academically together. But what other things will they learn that are more precious, much more precious than the academics?
Exactly.
That's
they don't know
incidental.
that. I know, but they don't know that yet.
Well, they're going to find it out.
Exactly. The primary focus that is in front of them is what about the academics?
Yeah.
And you've walked it and I've walked it, so we know the adults that are produced and the relationships, and we found the value that we look at has got nothing to do with academics at the end of the day.
Not at all.
But people have to find that out eventually. So they start with their big concern being academics.
Well, also, the husband feels responsible. And he only sees it, possibly, most husbands only see the academic side of it. Results and university educations. He's respectful of that as his responsibility. But I think you might know this better than me with all the homeschooling children, that the fathers soften as they go along because they see the results, the wonderful results that are coming out with many more facets to them than pure education, which is all they're getting at school.
Well, we see a complete swing around. We see it starting with the mother being afraid and the father having expectation. And it swings around to the father encouraging the wife to continue.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that comes home to a happy family.
Yes.
And that becomes valuable to him. He doesn't come home to stress and tears and anxiety and And so he starts to see that, and then when the mom starts to feel a little bit overwhelmed and overcome, he's the one that's saying, no, we must press on with this.
Yeah, he'll encourage her.
But sometimes it takes as long as a couple of years for that journey to take place. So you've got to encourage people from the start that is going to be the outcome. And as you said, you almost want to promise them, because we can confidently tell them that is what we witness over and over, not by one or two families, it's now hundreds of families we see that happen.
Absolutely, and the father's concern about what he feels responsible for will slowly fade away.
Exactly.
As he sees the dynamics of his family changing for the better.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, you talked about academics just now, and what we see is two things going on. Fear of academics or creativity. A mom is either feeling very academically equipped because maybe she was previously qualified in that field, so that's not her problem. But what she's scared about is not being creative enough. She's not an art teacher, or she's not very artistic, and she's afraid of that. And then you get the complete opposite, where the mom is very creative, or she feels confident with being creative, but she doesn't feel confident in academics. So now you've got these two different things going on. And we can have either one of those moms phone us frequently. Obviously, as you know, at Oikos, there's more and more people inquiring about home education. So now, on both of those sides of the scale, what would you say to either of those parents?
I would say they've got an opportunity to educate themselves in an area that's maybe been lacking before in a beautiful, beautiful way. I mean, like I said just now, with their children. So I know for myself the fun that I've had on the creativity side. And the academics, the mother that is very creative and all, is going to be more academic when she sees the results of what her children can produce. They're producing together something really unique.
Now, this is something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. It's interesting that I'm thinking about only asking you it now. And that is your schooling, your personal schooling. You were just regularly schooled. I feel like I was partially home educated because of my special needs kind of education. But in your instance, you were an academic. You did well academically. You're an academic scholar person. But as a mother, I've only ever really associated you to being an incredibly creative person. So I never experienced you as a person that you gave me the message that academics was important to you. That's not the message I got from you. Yet you're an academic person. Now, how did that happen?
I would say that it's probably because I came to realize that being a rounded person, being able to enjoy creativity as well as academics was better than excelling at one and being hopeless at the other.
Okay.
So, and I guess I got that from my mother and father. My dad was more academic and my mother was more creative.
So you got a mix.
And I got a mix from them, yeah. And if I hadn't, I might have made that mix for myself when I had my own children.
I'm thinking about now as well as people ask me where I was educated. They ask me, so where were you educated and what education do you have? And I tell them.
No.
I said, I was educated by my mother.
Oh.
Because that's where my education came from. It came from you, if you think about it. Our education, being educated as people, comes from our parents largely, doesn't it? And from our home and our family and our experiences. So that's my reference to education. My reference to education isn't a school building or like that. So you did that. You see, that's what now I'm trying, when I say you did that reference in my mind, is my education came from you. I was educated by you. That's who my teacher is.
Yeah.
For life. So what the value I have of that, I hope that I passed on to your grandchildren, my children. Yeah. And now you and I both know the value of that. We've experienced it. So now I'm trying to help pass that on to thousands of of other mothers. That what the challenge I'm having in that is that they don't have the reference that I have. You see, my reference is you are my teacher.
Yeah.
You've been my teacher.
Okay.
They don't have that reference. They say, but I didn't have a mother, or my mother was absent, or my mother was a career woman. She wasn't creative, so how am I supposed to be creative? Or she wasn't this, so how am I supposed to? Or my mother had a quick temper, so now I've got a quick temper. You know, there seems to be a lot of if there's a negative reference to their mother, that's what they feel they have now. So they have that rather than what I have. So I'm thinking, well, I'm just privileged. I'm just blessed to have that. And so now how do I help somebody who's telling me they don't have that or they never had that?
They never had it, but now they can get it because here's the opportunity with their own children. And they can enjoy all the things they missed as a child. They can enjoy it as an adult with their children. And they cannot allow outside comments from people or influences from people to deprive them, to rob them of the opportunity to have that wonderful experience with their own children and to provide their children with all the things that they didn't have as a child.
Exactly. So they can change. They can change
it. And
change
the things
the bad into a good.
Yeah, the things they didn't have as a child, they can still have. But they'll have it as an adult now.
With their own children.
With their own children.
Well, one mom said to me when I said to her, are you reading aloud to your children? You can start there. She said to me, no, well, she can't because she doesn't feel confident and she doesn't read aloud nicely and so on. And she said her mother never read aloud to her and so, you know, that was her reference. So then immediately I think, well, you used to read aloud to us. So it's natural to me to read aloud to my children, you see. So I immediately have that struggle now, how am I going to help her? So I said to her, why don't you just start? Because practice makes perfect. Why don't you say to your children, I'm not feeling very confident about this, but let's give it a try. And sit with them and read aloud. So she did that. It's a wonderful story, this, because 2 days after that, she phones and she says to me, she started and the children didn't want her to stop reading. She said, oh, Mom, don't stop, carry on, read the next chapter.
Absolutely.
So it didn't take even 2 weeks or whatever it is that I thought it might take for her to get into it. It took one time when she sat and she started reading to her children. So you see, that's exactly what we're talking about, is you saying, do it and experience it with your own children. So that mom had never been read aloud by her own mother. So she had a block there, you see. She didn't think she could do this now.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's the most natural, simple thing in the world to pick up a book and read. But we have
whatever else it
understand, whatever it is.
If it's reading or
maths,
hitting a tennis ball or maths, whatever it is, wherever she feels that she lost out as a child or it was lacking in her life, what's stopping her from getting it now with her children?
So in other words, don't feel inadequate.
No.
Just do it.
Not at all. Those will be the areas where she becomes the strongest.
Exactly.
They will.
Thank you. Okay, well,
My pleasure.
Well, I'm very, very glad that we grabbed this moment, and it was extremely spontaneous. You had no idea. I gave you no heads up, no warning, nothing. I just sat you there and said, please can you talk to us?
Telling me.
But you've got a lot to give the people, and just think about what you've been able to give them today. And we can share that with hundreds of families now.